No, you never paid.
I played really rough when I moved back from Baltimore, and I rattled a few cages down here, and some guys had started playing that they didn't know who I was, and got a little bit of a bad rap right away, but I straightened them out. I backed my game off a little bit, and we're all pals now.
Jason Stevenson not only plays bike polo every Thursday night in Capitol Hill, but he brought the sport to DC along with a buddy back in 2003. Players get their fair share of bumps and bruises, but this diehard crew loves the game, and as Jason says, you get as much as you give.
There's a random person who doesn't know how to control their bike that'll cause some damage, but generally it's what you put into the game that you'll get out of it as far as hits. People will hit you back as hard as you hit them.
Go, go!
The sport, which started in Ireland in 1891, has seen a rapid increase in interest over the last couple of years, with bike polo now being played in countries around the world, from Malaysia to Argentina to right here in southeast DC. Jason, a bike messenger in the DC area, found the sport on the West Coast.
When I discovered bike polo, I moved to Seattle with my wife and child, and I wasn't planning on racing anymore, so my only outlet was bike polo.
Now a regular hangout for players down at Rush Rink, the bike polo scene in DC is thriving. Unlike traditional polo, where riders on horses gallop through green fields, bike polo is played on asphalt, with orange construction cones as goals. Jason, along with another guy he met in Seattle, Spencer LaBeouf, brought the game to the district.
Came back here to DC and got polo going here, and was here briefly and moved to Baltimore for a few years and got him playing up there. After about 2 or 3 weeks of crash bikes and bloody bodies, they pretty much called it quits up there. I have bad wrists. I've broken both my wrists, so getting that quick mallet on the ball is really, really helpful.
With scrapes and bruises just part of the game, the sport attracts a certain set of competitive bike riders from all walks of life, whether they are bike messengers or government staffers. It is a fairly simple game that can be very difficult to play. Everything moves fast on the court, in a game that most closely resembles hockey. And bike polo has an extensive tournament system that has taken Jason and his teammates around the country.
I'd like to thank my teammates, the Hot Boiled Peanuts. Shane and Megan, you guys rule. When no one else would play with me, you guys took me on. We've gotten better every tournament except Boston.
Jason's team had a tough time in the Boston tournament, but they've traveled to other tournaments around the country and have recently started the first ever co-ed tournament of hardcore bike polo, where you have to have at least one girl on your team. With over 17 teams from many different states and a team from Canada, the tournament was a huge success. And the game continues to evolve with players looking out for each other.
I think the hits and the rough play reached its worst at the end of last year and maybe the beginning of this year. There's been a few instances where I believe people are just backing down their game a little bit as far as the roughness goes.
A popular bike polo forum, bikepolo.ca, has created a platform for players to discuss rules, etiquette, and provide info on where and what bike polo clubs are doing. It has connected the bike polo community around the world, and Jason sees it as a main reason why the sport is growing.
That has helped a lot as far as discussing rules, plays, the kind of playing that people do.
Bike polo was played in the 1908 Olympics in London. In the last few years, interest has grown around the world and here in DC.